So let me open up a page for you and let me share the page with you. Okay. So far I have discussed basically said, okay, this is how I'm going to design my course, and this is how I'm going to look into the course. So let me bring another tool. I'm going to use a lot of tool for us to make the class more effective. So we have said, okay, we have two groups. One is called household, and there is another group
Farm.
which is farm. And we realize that these two groups are going to do their transaction. They want to buy, and they actually go to a market to buy their products. So this is where they go to buy. So this market is not for not to these people go to buy, these people go to sell. But if you want to sell it, you need to buy it or not. Do you buy anything or you just sell?
You have to buy or produce.
Buy also.
You have to buy. So remember, the buying and selling is not independent. So they also buy. So they also, but from where they buy? So we are putting here buy. We say they also buy. So from whom they buy? What do they buy?
Raw
They buy
material.
materials. So remember, they buy materials. But if they buy materials, somebody must be selling it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, if they buy materials, somebody must be selling it. So the question, who is selling it? Somebody who owns it. Somebody who owns it. Exactly. So now, and this is where this issue should be important for us to understand, that it's not buying and selling, that every buyer is also a seller. Every seller is also a buyer. So realize that buying and selling are not independent activity. If you want to buy, you have to sell. And if you have to sell, you have to buy. But anytime you buy, you need to look for the owner. So in economics, ownership is a very important concept. Many textbooks never discussed it. They never discussed ownership as a concept. But ownership is an important concept. Without which you cannot buy. You buy a product from whom? From its legitimate owner. And in the way economics are designed, we assign all the ownership in the world to household. We said household is the ultimate owner. Now, they can reassign household to a farm and say, look, you take a decision, but I own it, but you take a decision. That's when the appointment of a manager comes. Owner is household, decision maker may be farm, but it's a decision maker, it's a decision process that is given to them. The original owner is still household. And what do they own? So we said we have 4 different categories of resources that you can own. So we have defined economics. Remember, economics is a decision-making science of resource utilization. So we have said we have land as a resource. We have labor as a resource. We have capital as a resource. And we have entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs as a resource. So these are the 4 different resource categories. Land, unfortunately, don't take it as literally. It actually means natural resource. Economists use land as a proxy for natural resource. So all natural resources means land. Then we have question about, which is called human resource. All human resources. So you remember, I'm building up the concepts. I told you that any subject you want to learn, you have to build up the concepts. What is capital? It's called produced resource. The capital is not money. That's a mistake. Your building is a capital, your machinery is a capital. So it means anything that I have already produced becomes a resource. And this is also human resource, but I always will say human resource plus. This is a different kind of human resource. It's a human resource which has ability to take risk. And those are the entrepreneurs. Question is, are people born as entrepreneurs, or can we build up the quality of entrepreneurs on individuals? Which one?
We can build up the quality of entrepreneurs.
You can build up a quality of, or people are born as an entrepreneur.
No one is born as an entrepreneur.
Huh?
We don't see much people born as entrepreneurs.
But there are a lot of people born as an entrepreneur. So
That's part of inheritance of their business, but
no, not necessarily. Many businesses create.
No, I don't agree.
Think about even in Square, they are not born as entrepreneurs. This group generation is, but the father generation are not. If you look at even Partex, so remember this. There are
all the first generation businessmen, sir.
Yes, all the first generation businessmen are entrepreneurs by birth. So these people, so there are some of us who are almost like genius, entrepreneurs by birth. We take decision based on our entrepreneurship skill. So based on our entrepreneurship skill, we take decision. That's one group of people. There is another group of people who are not necessarily entrepreneurs as such, who are actually, so this group of people are looking at some entrepreneurs can be born. You can be born as an entrepreneur if you understand the risk. So you can say, look, not born, you can be, you are a new entrepreneur, but if I see the risk and if I can analyze the risk, you say, okay, I can take this much risk. So that is an entrepreneurship skill. So entrepreneurship can be built into a person, or it could be born with it. Unfortunately, the number of people who are born with that entrepreneurship skill is very low. And given the demand for goods and services across the world, you need to create entrepreneurs. And that is one of the reasons why MBAs were created. So one of the fundamental reasons why you need an MBA degree is to create entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, we create clerks. Because you create an MBA, they want to go to a multinational company and work.
Yes, sir, that's very true. And that's very depressing.
Okay, so my point is to understand that the degree as MBA degree was designed to create entrepreneurs. Means that there are demand for goods and services. The natural entrepreneurs number is too small to produce such a huge amount of goods and services. So you need to give them knowledge, other group. And once you give the knowledge, you can say, I can take that risk. And that is called, you are building entrepreneurs through education, through the training. One of the fundamental objective is that okay, I create my syllabus the syllabus is designed to build new entrepreneurs. That is my objective of getting a degree.
Yes,
Many of you,
we have courses like entrepreneurship because of that.
Yes, exactly. Many of the people I have seen, unfortunately, do not want to be entrepreneurs. They are very happy being a clerk. Okay.
But the trend is changing, sir. Last 10 years, trend is changing. We have seen a lot of startups, and even in some extent, it was overflowed that like the new hype that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not a clerk. So
exactly.
It's going the other way around.
It should be, because that's why the subject is designed.
Yes.
Now, okay, the subject, unfortunately, the way we catered the whole thing, I must say that I'm not very happy with it, because we are creating basically, sophisticated clerks. That is not the objective. The objective was to create good entrepreneurs. And if you can do it, you realize that you are filling a gap that always, so there is a two market, and let me put it this, and this market is known as factor market. So if you think about it, this market is known as a factor market, and this is a product market. In the factor market, you need factors of production. Household owns it. Since they own it, you have to buy from them. And if you want to buy from them, you actually have to pay, because you are buying the right from the owner. It's a temporary right. Maybe for 1 month I rent a house. It may be a permanent right. It is a permanent right, I pay a price, right? Price technically is nothing but the sum of all rent. So price is nothing but sum of all rent for infinite time of period. Whereas entrepreneurs, and this is something that has just since become infinite. If you earn money 10 taka for infinite years, what is the summation?
In infinite, sir.
Yeah, if I say you earn money for 10 taka for infinite years, what is the total amount?
The
No
amount should
idea?
be also
Huh?
infinite. The amount
Infinite.
is also
Infinite.
infinite. Yes.
The answer should be infinite.
It cannot be infinite. Because if it is infinite, then why should I give up that right when I sell a plot of land? So now realize that there is more than mathematics. Because when you sell a land, you are transferring the right of that land, capturing the rent of that land for infinite years, right? You and your whole future generation is deprived
Yes.
of the right. So you are transferring ownership of land from me to another person. I'm selling it. And if you say some of this 10 taka per of infinity is infinite, then you should have never transferred it. So now realize that if you start looking at the all mathematics and logic behind it, is not true. So some of them is not
Yes, sir.
infinite. Okay, we're not going to discuss it, but in economics we do discuss it.
Definitely not.
But I'm raising this to understand the logic. That a lot of times simple logic is not a good logic, right? A simple logic is layman's logic is not a good logic. So yes, from a layman's point of view, you would say, look, if I sum 10 taka for infinite years, it's infinite, which means unless you give me infinite amount of money, I will never give it to you. But that's not true. I give you money and you give it, so which means it is not infinite. Similar way, I say that if you love someone, is it infinite? Answer is no, it's not infinite. There is a point when I also forget about it. So there is a whole definition, and these are, to me, is a psychological, but there are measurement behind it. There are mathematics behind it, which good mathematicians go into that and explain, which is not part of this subject. But I'm just raising it into your mind. So when I look into this household, and I want to bring this issue into your mind, so let me bring that. How do I do this? Okay, let me insert this again. So I have very simple logic. I want to. So how can my income as a household is what? I sell my land, I get a rent. So I define as rent, which is a short time transfer of ownership. So you stay in my house, it's a transfer of ownership, but for a month, and for every month you give me this.
For a month.
Yeah, so this is for a month. I buy your labor, it's also for a transfer of your right to me. That for this time period in office, I want you to work for me, not for you. And because I want you to work for me, I buy this right from you. You are the owner, I give you the wage. So see how ownership is transferred. Okay, I take capital, which is technically replacement of technically money. I take your money, and I said, okay, if I give you money, I will give you interest. What is the objective of interest? I also get the transfer of rights. I take your money, I use it, I give you an interest rate as an ownership because you have allowed your money to do business with me, and you get interest, but you will get your money back also. So it's interest plus principal back. So this is my income. But I have another income, which is called profit, because I also do business and I have an income which is known as profit. So profit is another part of income come from the business operations. But profit is technically equal to revenue minus cost. And what is my cost? Your income is my cost. Agree or disagree?
Yes.
Technically, your income is my cost. Income of the household is my cost. Why income of the household is my cost? Because I paid. So my cost is nothing but technically my cost is my rent, my wage, plus my interest rate. My profit is technically my revenue minus my cost. And my revenue minus my cost is technically. So what is my objective?
Farm objective.
Exactly. So if I look into this equation, so if I summarize this equation, again, these equations are not available in textbooks. So if I summarize my equation, I say profit is equal to revenue. What is revenue? Revenue is P into Q, price into output, minus rent. Let's put R as a rent. Let's put small r as a rent, small w as wage, small I as interest rate. So this is my cost. So my equation looks like this, that I have, in order to maximize my profit, I have choices to make. So I have a choice to raise the price, right?
Nice.
Or change the quantity. But changing quantity, unfortunately, will go both ways, because changing quantity will also increase cost, right?
Right.
So assuming
production
that
production
let us assume for a moment production cannot change, then I can only change price by raising prices. What else I can do?
Right.
Anything else I can do to maximize my profit?
Renegotiating the interest terms, wages, rent.
Yes. So you are civilized persons. You would say, okay, let's renegotiate interest, renegotiate wage, renegotiate rent. That's a very rational strategy, right? But if you are uncivilized, what will you do? You will say
there could be a lot of things.
yes, and let us be very clear about it. So if I say I want to maximize profit, and you are not very civilized, you will say, look. So first, let's go systematically. Price I cannot raise, even though you think producer can raise prices. Answer is no, you cannot raise prices.
Market won't allow you.
Exactly. So now you realize market. Unfortunately, this market we are not discussing yet, but in future we'll discuss. Will not allow you to change prices. Prices are something out of your hand. Quantity is not in your hand. So yes, okay. Best idea is to take somebody else's land and never pay him the rent.
I've seen
So you find, okay, and that's very common across the world, not just in Bangladesh.
The
In
whole
other words,
Bosundhara, sir.
so the point is that you forget about all private. I have seen government enterprises doing it.
Right.
How come on earth government enterprises go and occupy Buriganga? So do not. Private enterprises are bound by the law. Why government enterprises exist, and that's not their individual profit. They don't even get profit, but they also go and occupy Buriganga. It's a good example in Bangladesh. Okay, so they said, okay, I have power. I go and occupy it. Remember what they are trying to do. They are trying to minimize this R, rent, to zero. If you can minimize to zero, you get everything. So remember, profit maximization has also at the same time a strategy on cost minimization. And sometimes if you are not civilized, and when I say civilized, there is no difference between civilized and uncivilized people. The only difference between civilized and uncivilized people is the rule of law. If an economy does not have rule of law, and if you are civilized, you are stupid. If an economy has no rule of law, you should also be like anybody else. So my behavior is it's a rational human behavior. We'll talk about rationality in the next class. So rational behavior will dictate that my behavior is governed by the pattern of ownership that exists, by the rule of law that upholds the ownership rights. If the rule of law does not exist, then I will probably try to reduce my rent to zero. So if I can reduce my rent to zero, fantastic. What happens to the rent? It comes into my pocket. I can do the same thing. I can reduce the wages to zero.
Yes.
How do I do it? I buy slaves. That's how slavery came in the whole world.
Because or I don't pay the people who are working for me.
Exactly. Or I do not pay. right? Or
it's a common practice. This is a very common practice in Bangladesh. Like 3-4 months, salary is not giving and
Yeah.
stuff.
So that's, or I take money from the bank and I say thank you very much.
Sir, easier I buy a bank or invest in a bank.
So now you realize in this particular scenario,
I can see the trend.
you can see the equation. So what is the equation telling you?
My God.
It's telling you that there is an issue which is called rule of law. Economy cannot run without rule of law. If it is rule of law does not exist, all of this will transfer to zero and everything will enter into profit. Obviously, it will go to the household. But the problem is only this one group of household, this group. The rest of them will get zero. That is the fundamental. So I'm giving you the logic of an economy. That if I'm looking at the logic, and if I see people occupying somebody else's land, government rivers, occupying that, should I get a big surprise? Answer is no.
Not
This
anymore.
this equation is telling me that is going to happen. If I'm looking at people not paying their wages properly, should I get a surprise? No.
No.
If I'm looking at people taking money from the bank and never returning it, is it a surprise? Answer is no. It's a natural answer to a lack of rule of law. So when
how this equation actually represents the whole economy, sir. Modern economy.
But it's not modern economy. Let's be very clear. Why you see, even in Islamic literature, says before sweating stops, you give the payment to the worker. Answer is because people were doing it.
People were slavery,
cheating.
sir. You already mentioned slavery, right?
Yes, slavery is there. So do not misunderstand the whole, say, look, Bangladesh is the worst in the world. Answer is, this is a rational human behavior. If we do not create enough laws to protect human beings and rights of the owners, this is going to happen. So when this behavior prevails in an economy, it only gives you an indication that there are lacks of rules and regulation in those sectors to protect the rights of the rightful owner. So I want to give you this equation and try to teach you that as an economist, I do not get surprised. I'm not surprised at these events, why people go and occupy Buriganga. I'm not surprised why people do not pay salaries. I'm not surprised why people take money and never come back. And it's not their fault. It is easier to blame them as a bad person, but it's not their fault. Overall, it's the fault of the institution that governs us. In times before prehistoric time, people used religious sermons, people used religious rules and regulations to stop such crimes. But in a civilized world, you need proper regulation to protect the rights of every single owner of resources. And if you do not do it, the economy is not going to grow. Was that fine? So happy with this class so far? We just discussed the initial discussion, understood economics. That was my target. So we look into basically we are analyzing behavior. Why some behavior is like this, why some behavior is like that. If you can explain those behavior, your knowledge will change your mind. Okay, this is going to happen next. And that gives you ability to predict. So remember, your ability to prediction is not mathematics, it's understanding.
Please subscribe to this channel to receive updates on new videos.